1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, welcome into the Frangie Show. Thank you so much for being with us on this gorgeous Friday. Hayes Carline here, along with Hacker and JJ LaSelva. Frank in London, seeing the sights, getting ready for Jaguars-Rams to call that game. And Hacker, we're going to dive right into that, but want to set the scene for you. We're going to talk a lot of Jaguars-Rams today. We're also going to talk last night's Thursday night game. We don't always spend a lot of time on the Thursday night game, but I thought last night's game, Cincinnati beating Pittsburgh, which you called, right?
Yeah, I had Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Now, it did not go the way I thought it was going to go, but ultimately
you didn't have 64 points being scored in that game?
Or Joe Flacco throwing for 340 and 3 scores.
Amazing. Yeah. So we're going to get to all that, and if the Cleveland Browns are the worst organization in pro sports. But last night's result was good for the Jaguars. We'll tell you why. We'll get it to Kirk Cignetti getting an 8-year, $93 million deal from Indiana. What does that mean for the Gators? As we believe they will be in the coaching market very shortly, if not perhaps as early as this weekend. And there's a lot of big games on tap this weekend in the college realm. We've got, obviously tonight's huge. Louisville at Miami, which I think is going to be a 4-quarter game. I'm really excited to watch that. And we've got the two. We've got obviously Florida, Mississippi State, Florida State at Stanford. That's not incredibly noteworthy around the country, but I mean, we've got Ole Miss at Georgia, LSU at Vandy, Tennessee at Alabama, USC at Notre Dame, even Missouri at Auburn is interesting to see kind of what ends up happening there. So we're gonna kind of touch on all those. And there's a good slate of NFL games. Pete Prisco will join us. Obviously, you guys know Pete, CBS Sports senior writer, joins us every Friday. And so we'll look forward to talking to Pete at 5:15 to go over everything involving the Jaguars, Rams, and also just some stuff from around the league, get Pete's thoughts on that. So will be a really fun Frangie show. Once again, man, thank you so much for joining us. And you've got an incredibly busy day today. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm here with you until 6 o'clock. Then I will leave here and head on over to the Channel 4 studios, where myself and Justin Barney will have Friday Night Lights, the streaming version, where we will be following the high school games in real time tonight on the social media platforms of 1010XL and our friends at Channel 4. And then back here to the 1010XL studios this evening for Friday Night Lights radio version. Myself and Dylan Denmark will be talking to Victoria's head coaches all over Northeast Florida. Week number 9 of high school football already. Playoffs are less than a month away, so it's moving right along.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Well, we'll certainly look forward to that. Obviously, the big news today involving the Jaguars-Rams game Sunday morning at Wembley, no Puka Nacua. We kind of thought that's where it was trending, but that is a gigantic loss for the Rams. It doesn't change my pick. I still think the Rams are going to win the game, but boy, that certainly makes it a little bit easier for the Jaguars. Nacua, 54 catches for 616 yards and 2 touchdowns this year.
You could legit argue he's been the second best receiver in the NFL after Jamar Chase. And Jamar Chase went nuts last night. 16 grabs, a touchdown. He
toasted Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah, my sincere apologies if you played against him in fantasy football last night. Luckily, I actually had him in one of my leagues.
There you go.
38 points from Jamar Chase, and I really appreciated that. But Puka Nacua, other than Jamar, I think is probably the second best receiver in the league. He had the most catches coming into this week as well in the National Football League. So, yeah, it's a gigantic loss for the Rams. Now, when you and I talked about it yesterday, I picked L.A. with the knowledge that Puka probably was not going to play. I factored that in. But, no, absolutely. I mean, if you're looking for a way for the Jaguars to win the game on Sunday, the Rams not having clearly their best offensive weapon is a good start to looking at that situation.
And it'll be really interesting to see how the Rams go about their business against the Jaguars, because if Sean McVay wants, he can turn it over to the ground game with Kyron Williams. I mean, they're certainly capable of doing that, but they're more of a passing outfit. They're third in the NFL in passing yards per game. So if they do want to employ more of let's attack through the air, obviously, like you mentioned, you still have Devontae Adams, who is still, he's not what he was, but he's still a very good receiver at this level.
And he has given the Jaguars fits over the years.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, what are the numbers? It's like,
well, the one game he was here,
scored every time he's ever played the Jaguars, he scored at least one touchdown.
He had done nothing with the Raiders the one season he came here, and then he just went absolutely berserk, and it kind of launched him into a great second half of the year. And again, different coaching staffs, a lot of different personnel, but I got a lot of Jaguar traumatization from seeing Devontae Adams torch this defense over the years. And without Puka Nacua, Devontae is going to be clearly the number one weapon for Matt Stafford on Sunday.
Without a doubt. But it'll be interesting to see what the Rams do schematically with their supplemental options. Jordan Whittington is a young, I think he's in his second year, young up-and-coming player who's done some good things when he's had chances. Tutu Atwell is a speed demon, is averaging over 40 yards a catch. He's only had 4 catches, and one of them went for 80-something yards in a game winner. But he is somebody that McVay is going to send him deep several times to test those Jaguar safeties. And then you got Tyler Higbee at tight end, who's older, but, again, when he is usually called upon, he can deliver. So obviously, it's a huge advantage for Anthony Campanile not to have to worry about Puka Nacua, but I still think the Rams are capable of hurting the Jaguars through the air.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. Tyler Higbee looks like a matchup problem. Keep in mind, no Devin Lloyd for the Jaguars. How will that factor in? I know we talked yesterday. I like Ventrell Miller on first and second down. I'm not as high on Ventrell Miller on third down passing situations. So does that mean maybe a 3-safety look with Murray, Wingard, and bring in Antonio Johnson as well? We'll certainly have to see. But no, if the Jaguars are going to be without Devin Lloyd, the Rams being without Puka Nacua, I would take that trade if I'm Jacksonville. But as you mentioned, Atwell has been nursing an injury. He came back to practice yesterday. He's going to be good to go. Whittington's a young guy. Devontae's obviously an all-pro caliber player. And I think they are going to rely on that running game with Kyron Williams and that offensive line. If the Jaguars stop the running game, the Rams could be in some trouble.
Without a doubt. And again, another big element to this is, can the Jaguars run the ball and keep LA off the field? And we know that that's a big part of their identity, and they were doing great running the ball for a while, and then the last couple games they've gotten stymied, so much so that the Jaguars are now 11th in the NFL when you look at rushing offense, and they were top, but I think they went from like 1 to 3 to 4 to 11. The Seattle game really hurt them because they couldn't run it at all. But the Rams aren't great. If the Rams defensively have an element that is a little bit of a concern, they're kind of smack dab in the middle. They're 15th in run defense. So maybe that's the path is, really pound them on the ground and have some extended drives and shorten the game a bit and frustrate the Rams offense.
We all look for excitement, right? We want to see the 80-yard Travis Hunter touchdown, the 50-yard ETN run, the 75-yard screen pass to Brian Thomas Jr. And, yeah, I would gladly take any of those. Don't get me wrong. You know how Jacksonville wins this game on Sunday? And it's going to be as plain as, meat and potatoes. End every offensive drive with a kick. If you end every offensive drive with a kick, that means you're either punting, kicking a field goal, or kicking an extra point. Translation, if you don't turn the ball over, win the field position battle, and for the love of everything, do not commit double-digit penalties. If there's one thing about a Sean McVay coach team, they will not give you the game. They are a very, very good team in not committing penalties and not hurting themselves. The Jaguars are the exact opposite of that. They're one of the most horrific teams in the league this year about committing penalties and hurting themselves. A 7-yard Travis Etienne run is not a big deal, unless it's called back for a holding penalty and 1st and 20 instead of 2nd and 3 is what you have to deal with. And that happened a lot last week against Seattle. End every offensive drive with a kick. Don't commit ridiculous, stupid penalties. And at that point, the Jaguars will have a great opportunity to come back at 5-2.
Without a doubt, it's going to be a lot of fun when we come back. We're going to stay on Jaguars-Rams. I want to get Hacker's thoughts on Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., what we can expect to see from them Sunday in Wembley. And we're also going to touch on Pittsburgh's loss last night in Cincinnati. Yes, in Cincinnati, 33-31. And really what that means, I mean, there's a lot of layers to that. I mean, what does it mean for the Browns? How idiotic are the Browns? I mean, how many moronic decisions are the Cleveland Browns going to make with their quarterback position?
Well, not only have they hurt themselves, but they helped the division rival. Exactly what Mike Tomlin said leading into this game. You know what it says to me, Hayes, about the AFC more than anything? Do you realize if the Colts lose to the Chargers on Sunday in L.A., and New England beats the Titans, and the Titans just fired Brian Callahan, then after 7 weeks of the NFL season, the Patriots would be the number 1 seed in the AFC.
That's incredible.
It's unreal.
It really, and that could easily happen.
Yes.
I mean, both those results
I probably expect
are
that to
probably
happen.
trending to happen
Right.
in that way. So, yeah, the Titans have ruled out Arden Key and Calvin Ridley in addition to firing their coach. So, it really looks like it's going to be a field day for New England. But you never know in this league. But still, that could absolutely be the case. It's been a stunning start to the NFL season. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we will stay on the NFL. You are listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
He has ways of getting information from the competition.
That's the trouble with the world today. No one takes the time to do a really sinister interrogation anymore.
Hayes Carline takes you behind enemy lines.
It's a lost art.
Activated by Pella Windows and Doors on 1010XL.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carline here to let you know about my new obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. If you love eating dips with chips, wings, and veggies while watching football, you'll love new Daisy French Onion Dip and Daisy Ranch Dip. These are game changers. They're as delicious as a homemade dip made with real herbs and spices and other ingredients you'd find in your own kitchen. You've got to try them. Once you do, you'll be hooked. Look for Daisy French Onion Dip at a grocery store near you.
Get this thing unwrapped here. Duval!
Praz, what in the world are you doing working on your Duval?
That's right, man. I really identify with Duval.
You live in St. John's County, knucklehead.
I mean the Duval sub, the Daily Stash Duval. Turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheeses. Lettuce, tomato, crispy and fresh, you know, like me. I'm sure there's a Daily Stash sub that sums you up.
The boss.
Because, of course,
Oven roasted beef, Munster cheese, roasted mushrooms, caramelized onions. It's the boss of all subs. Only available for me.
that's just not true.
What do you mean? I walked in the other day, screamed, "You know it!" and said, "A boss for a boss."
Well, no matter who you are, there is a Daily Stash sandwich or sub for you.
Go find yours. They may even make you a boss.
I'm sure they will, because it is Daily Stash.
Where more is better.
And you got that right.
This is Hayes Carline from my friend Holt at Harold and Harold. There doesn't seem to be enough time in the day to get everything done. Then you get injured in an accident and you don't know what you're going to do. Let Harold and Harold make it easy for you. Easy on becoming a client. You can just text or email if you want. Easy on finding a doctor and getting through the process. Hopefully you won't need them, but if you're ever injured, call Harold and Harold and make it easy on yourself. Call them at 904-251-1111. That's 251-1111.
Sometimes you agree with him, sometimes you don't.
On the runway, I'm coming in hot.
CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco joins the Frangie Show Friday afternoons on 1010XL. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
La playa is Spanish for the beach. If you can't remember that, the word Corona also works. Corona, La Playa awaits.
Hey friends, Frank Frangie here. You know me. I don't mess around when it comes to taking care of business. Well, if your plumbing or AC company is giving you excuses, it's time to make a trade. Call the pros at Duck Duck Rooter. They're the trusted partner for some of the biggest commercial names in Northeast Florida. Their office team keeps billing smooth, and their field techs show up ready to fix the problem, fast and right. Bring in the starters with Duck Duck Rooter, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Call 904-862-6769. 904-862-6769. Tell them Frank sent you.
Hey, it's Rick Ballou. I just upgraded my home with fantastic floors, and the experience was incredible. Rusty and the team brought the showroom to me with their at-home consultation. The whole process was simple, the installation was top-notch, and the results, absolutely fantastic. Take it from me. Don't wait. Visit fanfloors.com and schedule your at-home consultation today. Fantastic Floors, where every step is fantastic.
Pick it here for Oceanside Cleaners, the very best in dry cleaning service. Free pickup and delivery, or use their self-service kiosk in Ponte Vedra and Southside for drop-off and pickup. Dry cleaning, laundry, bedding, and bridal gown preservation. If it's got fabric, they can clean it. Oceanside Cleaners.
Strap in, Duval. The Jaguars are gearing up to face the Los Angeles Chargers Sunday, November 16th for our annual Salute to Service game. Join us as we honor and celebrate the brave men and women of our military all game long. Secure your seats now and be a part of the action by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. Let's stand together, Duval.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
It's a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. For all of your tires and automotive service needs, it's Big Chief Tire.
We certainly appreciate our friends at Big Chief Tire. They've got locations all around town, and I've always enjoyed working with them. So that's where you need to go. If you have any car issue, they'll take great care of you. Big Chief Tire. Hacker here with JJ LaSelva. I'm Hayes Carlyon. Frangie is in England as he gets ready to call Jags Rams. What a game last night. I mean, my expectation level was low, but Cincinnati 33, Pittsburgh 31. I think that really helps the Jaguars, by the way. We talked about this yesterday. Yes, Cincinnati's 3-4, and yes, they do have the tiebreaker over the Jaguars. And I will say, I mean, Flacco did look like he is in total control and knows exactly what to do with these amazing receivers, Chase and Higgins. I still don't really view Cincinnati as a threat to get back in this thing. I still think by the time that Burrow is healthy, they will be out of it. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll get hot and prove me wrong and end up being an albatross for the Jaguars. The Jags do not play the Steelers, but you're jockeying for seeding. And why to me that's so important, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, you want to be the 1 seed because you want the bye. But beyond that, there's not that big of a difference in terms of 2 through 6, except if there are upsets in the first round, the wild card round. Well, you might get to host if you're high enough of a seed. So the Steelers lose, they go to 4-2. They obviously have already had their bye, so they've played just as many games as the Jaguars have. Jaguars will obviously play their 7th on Sunday. But I thought it was good from that standpoint of I think the Jags are going to win the division. So, I mean, I get it. I'm peeking ahead at potential seeding early. But I do think we went over it yesterday, what the Colts have in front of them, what the Texans have in front of them. The Titans are out of it. So it's a 3-team race. We know that. And I think it sets up really well for the Jags. But getting back to this game, 342 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks for Flacco. Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns, and the Steelers had Jalen Warren rush for 127 yards, and they still lost. Wonderfully entertaining game, but just what was Cleveland thinking, letting Joe Flacco go to Cincinnati?
Yeah, look, they weren't. I guess they were thinking, well, he's a 40-year-old quarterback. We're not going to use him anymore. It's a youth movement. It's a rebuild. I guess that was their line of thinking, but to trade him to a division rival, and not just a division rival, but a division rival in your own state, in the state of Ohio, is certainly interesting. And we talked yesterday about Mike Tomlin making note of that in the pregame. I bet Tomlin has made a lot more notes about that now, that Andrew Berry basically gave Cincinnati a get-out-of-jail-free card by allowing them to get Joe Flacco. And it's hard not to root for Joe Flacco.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, what a performance. Look,
they were talking about during the game last night where, Flacco was in Denver. I didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, that was one I don't even remember him with Denver.
Indianapolis, and he's been everywhere. But look, I'm not the only one that probably thought this, and we're not the only market that you would have thought this last night. But is it concerning to anybody else when you see 40-year-old Joe Flacco, who's been in Cincinnati for 10 days, go out and throw for 340 and 3 touchdowns, that your 20-something-year-old quarterback, you're not sure could pull that off? I mean, have we seen Trevor have many games like that? And Flacco's been there a week and a half. and does that against the Steelers on Thursday night primetime. Now, again, that's not just a Trevor thing. That's a lot of young quarterbacks. You could say, wow, our guys never looked like Joe Flacco on Thursday night. Back to your thoughts on the standings for a second. Only one team in the AFC with one loss. It's Indianapolis. How about this? The Colts-Chargers game on Sunday in L.A. is technically a matchup of the 1 and 2 seeds right now. Because the Chargers would be the 2. Again, a lot of tiebreakers, and we're still very, very early. 6 teams with 2 losses, including Jacksonville. But how unbelievably refreshing is it, Hayes, that here we sit on October 17th. Still early, but October 17th, and we can legit have a conversation about playoff seeding. Because that has not happened very often in this town, very often in the last 15 to 20 years.
Yeah, and that's why we're going to soak it up.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
As long as they're in the race, and right now the Jags are the 6th seed, I believe, is where the NFL has them.
And they'd be heading to Pittsburgh in round 1 for Wild Card Weekend.
Absolutely. So, it's part of the fun of following this is, jockeying for position, and we'll see what the Jaguars can do Sunday. A win over the Rams that is going to be monumental for this thing, because I think you're sort of gaining a game and a half, as we've talked about, just because the Rams have already beaten every team in the AFC South. So, it's such a big opportunity for the Jaguars. But getting back to last night, there were so many elements of that game that I thought were interesting. You had the flea flicker that wasn't. You had Aaron Rodgers' right tackle knocking him to the ground in celebration. And you had Jamar Chase get targeted 23 times. I mean, that's what makes Flacco so fun. He's like, I don't really know much. He even admitted, he was like, some of the calls Zach Taylor gave me, I didn't really know, so we just sort of winged it. But he knows about Jamar Chase, and Chase did have a drop, but 16 catches for 161 yards and a touchdown. And the other thing that was funny about that game is Cincinnati didn't do anything in the first quarter.
No.
Like, you're watching it and you're thinking Cincinnati may not score tonight. And then in like the last 7 minutes of the second quarter, they get 17 points, got hot, and the Steelers never could make an adjustment. And the Steelers defensively looked woefully slow.
Well, Rodgers threw some inexcusable picks that let Cincinnati back in the game, and then our old friend Jalen Ramsey got cooked on a couple of plays last night. And what a heads-up play by T. Higgins. Now, you can say, well, that's what he's supposed to do. When you're in the heat of the moment, and when you're in the battle, and there's 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you have the presence of mind to know you could score on that play, but to slide down at the 6, what a terrific play by T. Higgins, because then the Bengals were able to run out the clock. Former Gator Evan McPherson comes in there, kicks a field goal, game over.
Yeah, it was remarkable football IQ by T. Higgins, no doubt about it. And it's just an illustration of what a fun sport this is, that you've got 2 quarterbacks in their 40s, and they account for a combined 866 total yards.
Whew, yeah.
Through the air, they were, again, Flacco was 342, Rodgers was 249. They combined to throw 7 touchdowns. It was just a really fun football game. I hope the rest of the NFL slate this week lives up to what we got last night.
And let's not, bury the big picture here. Cincinnati plays the Jets next week, I believe. They're going to get back to 500. And then what Mike Tomlin was saying about Cleveland giving Joe Flacco to Cincinnati for nothing, that will begin being echoed by many teams in the AFC to Andrew Berry. What are you doing? Again, an atrocious trade on the surface. I don't even know what they got for Flacco. I'm sure a late-round pick.
Yeah,
but to give your division rival that get-out-of-jail-free card, and Flacco is, I think, going to hold their head above water until Burrow is ready to come back. We'll see, but on the surface now, that Cleveland to Cincinnati trade looks really awful for the Browns.
And again, you just go back the last 5 years to decisions that Cleveland has made at that position. They had Baker Mayfield. They gave up on him, who now might win the MVP.
They gave Deshaun Watson $1 billion.
Fully guaranteed contract, who has been abysmal for them and probably will never take another significant snap. We'll see what Gabriel and maybe Sanders will get a crack at it. I do think they believe Watson will be healed from the Achilles at some point this season, but to even put him back out there, because you're moving on. They've got 2 first-round picks. They've got the Jags pick. They've got their pick. So they're looking quarterback in the draft. So But yes, you let Mayfield go for Watson. You give up on Flacco, as Tomlin stated. This is the guy that you determined was your week 1 starter.
Yeah.
And you're trading him this early in the season to a division rival, and then he goes and cars up the Steelers. I mean, it was just hilarious. Seeing Jalen Ramsey just get burned left and right. It was just a glorious night of football.
Yeah, I loved it. And it was a fun game. And they've gotten some really good ones on Thursday night. The Rams 49ers a couple weeks ago was really good.
That was a great game.
And the last night's game was really good. So I know people talk about Thursday nighters being stinkers from time to time. Not so much this year. It's been some good stuff.
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's going to be a lot of fun to see where the rest of this week goes. We're going to break it down with Pete Prisco at 5:15 as well. So lots of NFL still coming up on the Frangie Show. But when we come back, want to switch it to college football. Kirk Cignetti gets an 8-year, $93 million extension. That happened right as we went off the air last night. So we want to get into that and just sort of take it from a Florida angle. Okay, so obviously Cignetti is out. We did our list yesterday. You had him 4th. I had him 3rd.
I had him 3rd.
You had him 3rd. I had him 4th.
Yeah, I had Freeman, Kiffin, Cignetti, Drinkowitz.
Okay, and I had Cignetti last of that 4. So I'm not particularly bothered from a Florida perspective, but I do think it's really interesting that the Indiana Hoosiers, who are, as a program, 200 games under 500 in their history, are paying this level of money to a coach.
He's the 3rd highest paid coach in college football now, only behind Kirby and Ryan Day. He makes more than Lane Kiffin. He makes more than Kalen DeBoer. He makes more than you name it. I mean, Lincoln Riley. I mean, $11.6 million, and good for Indiana. They see an opportunity to really build up their football program, and good for Kurt Cignetti at 64 years of age to become the 3rd highest paid coach in the country.
And what is Lane Kiffin going to demand if, in fact, he is willing to listen to Florida, which we believe he will? All that coming up on The Frangie Show. You're listening to 1010XL, 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Frank Frangie here. Looking for a dealership that makes car buying easy? Let me tell you why Nimnick Buick GMC is the place to shop. At Nimnick, you'll find unbeatable prices, a huge selection of Buicks and GMCs, plus flexible financing that works around your budget. Whether it's a new SUV, a work-ready truck, or a certified pre-owned, they've got you covered. They back it up with trusted service and transparent deals. Don't wait. Shop 24/7 online at NimnickBuickGMC.com or visit the showroom on Phillips Highway. GMC, we are professional grade.
Pre-Game Friday, built by Dream Finders Homes on 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here for my friend and insurance agent Craig Dewhurst. Craig has been helping families on the First Coast with their insurance needs for 25 years as your good neighbor and local State Farm agent. Now's a great time to review your insurance policies, whether you need auto, homeowners, or renter's insurance, or insurance for your golf cart, boat, or jet skis. Craig handles all of my family's insurance needs, and even better, he gives back to the community. Call Craig today at 904-940-9740. That's 904-940-9740.
The doctors at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists have resolved my hip and foot issues, and I'm back to training for the 2028 Olympics in LA. This is Garrett Scantling, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
This is David Garrard. Following my knee surgeries and recovery, I'm continuing to feel great and would recommend Southeast Orthopedic to anyone who's experiencing orthopedic pain.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Hello, First Coast. I'm sure by now you have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
This right here, this is where it starts. With a little flame and a lot of love. When the air cools or the night falls, fire brings the warmth. But it's what we bring to the table that matters. Slow smoked barbecue. Stories that stretch long. Laughter that lingers. And moments that just feel full. That's why it's always Sonny's here.
Living on Amelia Island? Having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mocama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect pilsners and lagers, matching memories and some Mocama magic is what it's all about. Mocama Beer Company in Fernandina Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
1010XL, presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
It's a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. For all of your tires and automotive service needs, it's Big Chief Tire.
All right, welcome back to the Frangie Show. I am Hayes Carline, joined with Hacker, JJ LaSelva, running the show. Frank Frangie getting ready to call Jags Rams in London. I want to get into college football, Hacker. What did you make of Indiana giving Kirk Cignetti an 8-year, $93 million extension?
I get that we're in the land of NIL and the transfer portal and coaching matters, maybe more so than ever. And a guy like Kirk Cignetti, who was very good at the lower ranks in his mid-60s, or I guess lower to mid-60s, can take a job at Indiana, who is a bottom-tier Big Ten program and has been basically forever, with a blip on the radar here and a blip on the radar there, and he can turn them into, dare I say, a national powerhouse in back-to-back years, and he gets justly rewarded. He's also very lucky in that Penn State came open, and there was a lot of dialogue about Penn State maybe wanting him. There's been some talk about him at Florida, certainly. So you probably use that as leverage, which good on him and his agent. And all of a sudden now you look up and the University of Indiana, the Hoosiers, have the third highest paid coach in college football, $11.6 million a year, only trailing Kirby Smart and Ryan Day.
My first reaction as a Gators fan was I was glad this happened. I did not want Cignetti. Now I understand he's been great at Indiana. And I can't put my finger on exactly why. And part of it is I really hope it's Lane Kiffin. But what was your reaction when you saw it? From a Florida perspective, was it, well, this stings because now there's one fewer quality candidate in the pool, or was there some relief that, well, at least now I know it's not going to be Cignetti?
It doesn't sting yet because I was always of the Marcus Freeman, Lane Kiffin variety. Again, Brent Key is my number one. I've been led to believe that that's probably not going to happen because I don't think Brent Key wants to leave home, which home for him is Georgia Tech and Atlanta. But whether it's Brent Key, Marcus Freeman, Lane Kiffin, those have always been my top three. It won't sting until you get no's from those three guys. And if all three of those guys tell you no, well, then all of a sudden, yeah, I would have pivoted to Cignetti. So right now I'm fine with it. But if you call Marcus Freeman and you get a no, if you call Lane Kiffin, you get a no, and you get a no from Brent Key, then it might sting a little bit more at that point.
JJ, what would you have thought about Cignetti at Florida?
I actually have some friends that want him over Lane.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't be, as a Miami fan, I wouldn't be scared about that hire, though.
Would you be scared about the Lane hire?
More so.
Yeah.
But
is there
I'm
a hire that
shaking in my
scares you
boots
the
about
most
it.
is a Florida rival?
Say that again?
Is there a hire that Florida can make that would scare you more than anyone else?
Yeah, I would say maybe Lincoln Riley. I would really hate if they went and got Lincoln Riley. Dan Lanning, somebody like that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Lanning, I don't think's realistic.
Right.
Lincoln Riley could be. because I know that the marriage has not gone over well there.
They're playing well now, though.
They are, and they play Notre Dame. Big game for the Trojans tomorrow in South Bend, so maybe they'll start to turn it around. So yeah, I just get to the point where I just think with Signetti, first off, it is amazing what he's done. It is just a year and a half, and I am anxious to see if it can continue. But look, he's proven me wrong so far. I mean, I thought that Oregon would beat him, and they cruised in Alston. So it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. One, I guess, step to this is with Signetti out, it does get you kind of hinted at this. Well, what if it isn't Lane? What if it isn't Drinkwitz? And let's just say that Brent Key does want to stay at Georgia Tech. Who becomes your plan B guy?
See, it's funny you mentioned that. I was going right there. Is there a guy for you that maybe we haven't even talked about and that's not getting a lot of notoriety that you think potentially could be in play or that you would want in play?
I really like Braum at Louisville. If it got to where you're having to go to your fourth, fifth guy, so that would be and I can't wait to watch his team tonight against Miami. But I've always been impressed with his programs, Purdue, Louisville. Frank knows him really well. And so obviously it helps, hearing, stories that and backstory that Frank has. But I've always thought Braum has a really gifted offensive mind. Again, he's at his alma mater too, so you don't know whether he would leave, but you would think for Florida, he would certainly listen. Let me ask you about this. Do you have any interest in James Franklin if Kiffin and Drinkwitz elect to stay where they are?
No, the thing with Franklin is you already have to pay Napier a $21 million buyout. Obviously, you don't have to pay Franklin's buyout because he's already gone in Happy Valley. So financially, the Franklin thing would make sense. But again, I don't know. Franklin can't win the big game at Penn State. Is he going to come back to the SEC and win the big game at Florida? So I don't know about that. Would it intrigue me? Yeah, if you got no's from a lot of people. Look, I think with Signetti off the board, if you reach out to both Marcus Freeman and Lane Kiffin and whatever happens, those fall through and no's come down the pipe. Eli Drinkowitz, I believe, would be in play. I would not like that, but I think he would be in play. Then you're looking at like Rhett Lashley, right? SMU, I think would be a guy that would be interesting. I don't know if I would go that route, but he would be interesting. And I got a name just completely obscure, and I didn't even hear this from what I would call a quality source, but to say that it was interesting, and it kind of was interesting, and I hope this doesn't happen, but at least it got me thinking a little bit. What about Cliff Kingsbury?
Yeah, that's tough because their season isn't going to end until.
But that's the problem you're going to have with a lot of
January
these guys
8th.
that make the college football playoff, too.
Well, yeah, but they'd have to advance pretty far for that to be the case. I mean, with Washington, and look, they're kind of struggling. They're not as good as maybe we thought they would be. So right now, I don't even think they're in the tournament as we speak now. I think they're about 500. But they're only a game out, and Jane Daniels has been hurt. But to your question, I think he makes a ton of sense. Offensive mind. He has been a head coach. Obviously, it's going to go a long way being able to say, hey, have you ever watched Jaden Daniels play football?
Right.
Well, I was his coordinator, So, I mean, I think all that helps. I mean, again, my hope is it's the easiest search of all time. It's, hey, Lane, do you want the job? Oh, great. Well, and then it's just, what are you paying him? But can you imagine what the Lane Kiffin contract is going to look like?
Oh, it'd be unbelievable. Yeah, with what Signetti just got paid at Indiana. Now look, I think
and Kiffin already makes, I think, what is it, 9 or 10?
He's very well paid.
So, I mean, you're going to have to go to like 13, 14 million a year.
If you're Lane Kiffin or Lane Kiffin's reps, because I think everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, I think a majority of Gator fan haze are like you. Lane Kiffin is their number one. They hope he's the next head coach of the University of Florida. But with that comes a lot of expectations, man. You look at how quickly they fired coaches here. After Spurrier and Meyer, it was, Muschamp was 4 years and done. McElwain 3 years and done. Mullen 4 years and done. Will Napier even get 4 years? So you have to look at that if you're Lane Kiffin. You have to look at the expectations that you're going to have coming into a situation at Florida where you could walk on water at Ole Miss. They bow down to the floor you walk on up there. And if the money is comparable, are you just comfortable at Ole Miss and don't want necessarily the hassle of coming to Florida knowing you're going to have to win within 3 years, or you might get fired like every other guy that's been here for the last 20 seasons?
I think all great points. I think, and to take it specifically, Muschamp never found the right offense, which won't be a problem with Lane, and Lane wouldn't realize that. McElwain made up death threats. That's why he got fired when he got fired.
And hung out with a shark, right?
Yeah, but I mean, but even like that, obviously that's sort of a comical thing, but he factually made up death threats that never occurred, which you just can't do. I mean, that's like losing your mind, stupid, for Jim McElwain to say that in a press conference when it never happened.
He was despised by people down there.
Yeah, and as soon as that happened, it was like, okay, he's got to go, and he was fired 4 days later. Mullen just kind of lost all interest in recruiting, and I think Mullen really thought he was going to get a shot at the NFL. My point in all this is, I understand that maybe some coaches, maybe a Brent Key, might look at it and not have the full picture. I think Lane Kiffin is, just because he's kind of lived through it. He's my age, so he was in the industry when all these things were going wrong at Florida. I don't think that's going to stop him from taking it, but it is interesting because we're in a world now where if your administration is willing to put the money in, and you've got great NIL support, you can win anywhere.
Where was Spurrier's last year in Gainesville? 01? Does that sound right? All right, so since 01, so we're talking 24 years. Zook, Meyer, Muschamp, right? Let's try to go in order here. Who was after Muschamp?
McElwain.
McElwain's 4. Then you go to Mullen 5, Napier 6. This will be the 7th head coach of the University of Florida in the last 24 years. Is that not a problem perception-wise with that university? 7, man.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get it. Yeah, they haven't done a good job of hiring coaches.
And they've probably pulled the trigger maybe too early on a couple of those guys.
Which guys would you say?
I would say Mullen. And you know what? McElwain probably not, because he didn't make that stuff up. McElwain still won the East twice.
It wasn't an X's and O's thing. It wasn't really a wins-losses thing with McElwain. It was once you allege that the fan base is sending you credible death threats,
right? That's
in
fair.
A public setting, you have to fire him.
Did they pull too early with Mullen?
I don't think so, because Mullen, look, you saw what the roster was.
I mean, he had 3 10-win seasons.
But with Mullen, it was never like a wins and losses thing. It was that he's checked out. The roster can't compete with Georgia. You get my point. Now Florida didn't. What Florida maybe lacked in that, what Strickland lacked there is, and I don't know how you would have, if he knew now, if he could have known it then, with NIL coming aboard and free agency becoming more, the whole relationship between coach and player becoming more transactional, then maybe Mullen's shortcomings and just lack of wanting to recruit, maybe you could have gotten around that in this era. But again, they didn't know that. That's why they hired Napier. They were like, we need an elite recruiter, so we're going to go hire Billy Napier. And the X's and O's were an afterthought, and it's totally bit them, and because his Napier's X's and O's are his weakness.
All the big-time programs in the SEC, and it's easy to say, well, they hired good guys, and that's certainly part of it. But you look at 7 head coaches for Florida, which after Napier, the next guy will be the 7th in 24 years. Think about Georgia over the last 20 years. Think about LSU. Think about Alabama. Now, granted, they had Kirby Smart and Nick Saban. I mean, I get that. You certainly haven't hired the right guy, but the stability at all these other SEC programs compared to what you have had at Florida now continuously for almost a quarter century is pretty staggering.
That's why you got to get it right. That's why they got to hire Lane Kiffin and hope that he can coach there for 15 years to bring that stability to Florida. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we're going to stay on college football. A lot of great games this weekend. Starting tonight, Louisville goes to Miami. Really excited to watch that one, but several other big-time matchups. Want to get Hacker's thoughts on that. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
Pack your passport. Duval Pride takes a ride for a transatlantic showdown as West Coast meets First Coast for some American football at iconic Wembley Stadium. It's tea time for touchdowns with crumpets and football for breakfast.
Jacksonville Jaguars, Los Angeles Rams.
Cheerio. Sunday morning at 9:30 on 1010XL.
You don't need to bet everything on a Hail Mary. Just find a ride in your budget. Because Southside Kia is now Kia on Atlantic. New name, new location, same great deals. And we have the perfect place during the Kia Fall Savings event, like a new Kia payment free for a full 90 days. Or take advantage of financing rates as low as 0%. It's always a touchdown when you shop the best deals in town. Kia on Atlantic, your coastal Kia connection.
For complete details, call 904-250-0587.
This is Richard Miller with your Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles Update. This Saturday is our monthly card show, Inside Showtime, with 20 tables of selection ranging from football cards to Pokemon cards. From 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. This Saturday, it's an in-store card show. At Showtime, Sports Cards and Collectibles. Update your collection.
I'm Hammer and Hayes Carline, and I've been known to drop an opinion like a 2-ton hammer. Weekdays on The Frangie Show.
Hammer Time with Hayes on 1010XL. Driven by Kia on Atlantic. Check us out at KiaOnAtlantic.com.
Welcome to the Bundle event. Entering now our undisputed tag team champions, the mid-size SUV and the mid-century modern. Together with a State Farm agent, this auto and home duo are a powerful force of savings, service, and customizable coverage. Now, let's get ready to bundle.
Call State Farm agent Michael Nickus in Jacksonville at 904-777-6888.
Availability and amount of discounts and savings vary by state.
Expert Automotive on St. John's Bluff Road has some of the highest Google reviews in Jax for a reason. Expert Auto never sells greed, only what you need. All makes and models are serviced at Expert Automotive. This month, get an alignment inspection for only $19.99. Expert Auto does major engine and transmission repair and simple maintenance. All services done at Expert Auto by our ASC certified training technicians. Call today, 374-3373, and ask about $50 off any service. Expert Automotive. We never sell greed, only what you need.
Hey, I'm Tony from Tony D's Pizza. People ask me all day long, is it the water that makes the difference? Well, yes and no. Even water can't make a good pizza. It's the ingredients, too. The best tomatoes, the best flour, and the best cheese. Oh, and a lot of love. Tony D's New York Pizza, Bay Meadows and 295.
Fences come in all shapes and sizes. It's not just as simple as build me a fence. That's where Duval Fence steps in. They've got it all, from vinyl and aluminum to chain link and quality wood fencing. Duval Fence has been part of Jacksonville since the 70s, and their work stands up to the test of time. Companies come and go, but serving the community as a valued business partner means something to Duval Fence. Residential, commercial, large industrial projects. Check out DuvalFence.com for the local original fence company.
Jacksonville Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Hey, Jacksonville DDH. Dreamfinders Danny Hicken here with the scoop from Dreamfinders Homes, your national builder of the year. We've got first-year interest rates as low as 2.99% in homes in 20-plus communities throughout Northeast Florida. If you're house hunting, make sure your first pick Dreamfinders Homes, the proud official home builder of the PGA Tour, the Florida Gators, and your Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit dfhsalesevent.com today and tell them Dreamfinders Danny sent you.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch.
It's a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. For all of your tires and automotive service needs, it's Big Chief Tire.
Welcome back to the Frangie Show. Frank is overseas getting ready to call Jaguars Rams, but Hacker is here. I am Hayes Carline along with JJ LaSelva. JJ, big game tonight for the U.
Huge.
Yes. I think it's going to be a fantastic game. I think Miami wins, but I think it's like a Carson Beck touchdown pass with 42 seconds left to take the lead. What are you anticipating tonight?
I mean, Miami and Louisville always playing these high-scoring back-and-forth affairs. It's been going on like that for years now, and I expect nothing less. Like, Jeff Brom's the best coach Miami's going to face all season, and he always has something up his sleeve on the offense. They're also coming off a bye week. Listen, Miami, if you're going to be the new Miami that everyone's praising you for, not the we lose to Pittsburgh at the end of the year or Syracuse or Georgia Tech, like if you really are that program that everybody's hyping you up to be, you win this freaking game, man. Like that's just what it is. You go out there and you dominate. And I think they're going to win. I think it might be a touchdown. I would break my arm in half right now for a 7-point victory. Leon wasn't having that earlier today. He wants, blood and guts. But I just think the Canes need to be happy with any type of win here tonight. Just win in advance, as they say in college basketball.
The schedule's crazy for Miami. They've played one game in 20 days.
The two buys are so done.
How do you think that affects them? Because I think that is a potential pitfall.
It's just weird, right? I mean, you play Florida, and then you have a bye week.
So now you have like 9 straight conference
and then
games.
14 days later, you play Florida State, and then you have a bye week. So, they've played like one game in 3.5 weeks. Louisville's a good team. If this game was in Louisville, I would give them a real good shot to win. I just, for the life of me, cannot see them going into South Florida on a Friday night with Miami being in the top 5 in the country and looking unbelievably good in the process and coming out with a win. So give me Miami, and they are going to be the clear favorite in every other game. I think at this point you would have to say disappointment, if not borderline failure, if they don't make the ACC championship game.
Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I totally agree. We want to talk NFL coming up at the top of the hour, Hack, but I want to get a couple of thoughts from you on some of these big games. Ole Miss at Georgia, who do you like?
I love the game. It should be the night game. I don't know why Tennessee, Alabama is at night, although that's a good one too. I like Georgia. I mean, again, you got to go between the hedges. Georgia's probably got a little revenge on their minds as well, so give me the dogs.
LSU at Vandy. Vandy a favorite. Are you buying that, or are you taking the Tigers?
Noon kick in Nashville, although there'll be 80% of LSU fans in that stadium. No, give me LSU. I love to see Diego Pavia play, but I'll take LSU to win the game.
You mentioned Tennessee at Bama. Who do you like in that contest?
Tennessee's the best team in America that nobody's talking about.
Yeah.
People forgot about them after the Georgia game, and they've just quietly gone about their business. They're ranked like number 11 in the country. But again, night in Tuscaloosa, hard to think Tennessee is going to go in there and win.
They've really struggled, though. Like, they went to overtime against Mississippi State and Arkansas, I think it was.
Arkansas gave them a battle. That's right.
Yeah, they haven't won any, clean games.
You do wonder if, the kind of pixie dust has fallen off of the quarterback that was,
Aguilar.
That was so, exciting early. But we'll see. USC at Notre Dame?
20 years since the Bush push, right? When Matt Leinart scored on that touchdown 20 years later. Great game. USC's playing really well. Notre Dame's playing really well. Notre Dame, after losing those 2 games, still probably controls their destiny for a playoff. If they win the rest of their games, they will be in. Give me the Irish tomorrow.
And then because of Drinkwitz and the Florida potential candidacy, will you watch any of Missouri at Auburn? And what are your thoughts on that? That's a big game for you, Freeze, too.
Yeah, I'll watch Missouri. I think Auburn's last stand was last week against Georgia. They put everything into that game. The officials gave them the business at times. They lose. I don't know how you can regain your momentum or your confidence 7 days later. Missouri's also coming off a pretty big loss at home to Alabama, but I think Missouri's the better football team.
All right, great stuff. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we'll get it back to the NFL. Want to get Hacker's thoughts on Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr., what to anticipate from those two at Wembley on Sunday. We're also going to talk about an interesting special teams nugget in Rams-Jaguars that could go a long way to deciding the game. We'll also break down the other big games, good slate of NFL games, several games featuring two teams with a winning record. We'll get to all that. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with The Frangie Show. From the Harrell and Harrell studio, don't settle for less than you deserve.
Offense puts people in seats. Points put teams in the playoffs. Who will be this week's Offensive Player of the Game on 1010XL? Nailed down by Universal Roofing Contracting.
Hey, it's Carline here to let you know about my new tailgate obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. If you love eating dips with chips, wings, and veggies while watching football, you'll love the new Daisy French Onion Dip and Daisy Ranch Dip. These are game changers. As delicious as a homemade dip made with real herbs and spices and other ingredients you'd find in your own kitchen. You've got to try them. Once you do, you'll be hooked. Look for Daisy French Onion Dip at your grocery store.
Frank Frangie here. These days, it's hard to know which companies to trust. When it comes to banking, I trust South State Bank. South State truly values its customers, and they work hard to create meaningful, lasting relationships. I love going into my local branch. I see the same smiling faces I've seen for years. South State is the largest bank headquartered in Florida, so they're able to offer all the banking services you need. You can trust South State Bank. Banking forward. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
When you're a little kid on the playground, they tell you don't hit back. Well, the courtroom isn't a playground. And if you've suffered an injury or death in your family, I'm here to tell you it's okay to hit back and fight to make them pay. I'm attorney Brett Hastings, and at Hastings Injury Law, we understand all the pain and emotion that comes with being wrong. And we've dedicated our lives to making things right for people like you. So if you get hit, hit back with Hastings Injury Law. Offices, Jacksonville.
The Friday Night Lights are shining even brighter as 1010XL has partnered with Channel 4 to bring you Friday Night Lights, a live streaming show at 7 o'clock every Friday, presented by Farrah and Farrah on the social media channels of 1010XL and Channel 4.
AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
The flagship station of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Jewington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Julington Creek Pest Control has been serving our community since 1984. Our turf management program is an all-out blitz, granular fertilization, weed and insect control, keeping your lawn championship green all year. Quarterly pest control stops bugs before they ever cross your goal line. Family owned, locally operated, expert technicians, top quality products, no gimmicks, just winning results. Julington Creek Pest Control, our family serving yours since 1984.
It's the event everyone waits for. Now at Beard's Diamonds. Buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. Now for a limited time, when you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Save up to $10,000. Are you about to get married or been married for years thinking it's time for an upgrade? There's nothing that symbolizes your love more than the wedding band. Beards has hundreds and hundreds of bands from top designers in white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, titanium, platinum, plain bands, channel set bands, pave set, eternity bands. And for men, masculine bands. Wide, modern, with and without diamonds, hammered, brushed, engraved, lots of colors. Come to Beards now and find the wedding band that reflects your style and your personality. Buy one, get the second one free. The big box corporate jewelry stores can't or won't do this, but Beards can. And it's happening now through October 26th. Buy one wedding band, get the second one free. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate your eternal love with the eternal symbol. Beards Diamonds at St. John's Town Center.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about letting things roll off of your back. So often we can make big deals out of things that are not really big deals. We can allow them to steal the joy of our day. But let me remind you that don't allow anyone or anything to steal the joy of today. Go out today not letting little things steal the big things that God has in store for you.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
It's week 8 of the college football season with action all over the Sunshine State. Starting at 4:15, the Gators will host Mississippi State for homecoming with the broadcast right here on 92.5 FM. The Gators will wear 1960s throwback uniforms. In South Florida, the Miami Hurricanes host Louisville at 7, and then at 10:30, Florida State will be at Stanford for some ACC action. It's 76 degrees at 5 o'clock time, and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
It's a Big Chief Tire Friday on The Frangie Show. For all of your tires and automotive service needs, it's Big Chief Tire.
We certainly appreciate our friends at Big Chief Tire. Welcome back. Hacker is here. JJ is here. I am Hayes Carline. Frank Frangie is getting ready to call Jags-Rams Sunday morning at Wembley Stadium. We'll look forward to that. Let's talk a little bit about the Jags-Rams game, Hacker. One thing that I'm interested in, Liam Cohen hinted at it at his press conference earlier this week, that Travis Hunter is going to start getting more of the primary looks on passing plays. Do you think that will materialize Sunday? And what, if anything, do you think that might suggest about Brian Thomas Jr.?
Well, it's interesting because Brian Thomas Jr. is coming off his best game. I mean, people want to talk about the drop on third down. He was targeted 10 times. He caught 8 of them for 90 yards and a touchdown. I mean, where I come from, 8 for 90 and a score, that's a pretty good day at the office. So I had very little problem with what Brian Thomas Jr. did. And by the way, he had a 54-yard touchdown called back, too.
Right.
If Travis Hunter is a foot behind the line of scrimmage, Brian Thomas Jr. had 9 catches for 144 yards and 2 touchdowns. Yeah. And maybe it's a much different tone on BTJ coming into this week. But no, I think Travis Hunter, I've been perplexed why they don't go down the field to him more. I mean, you look at it, 2 best plays that he's made on offense, the 3rd and 15, 28-yard seam against San Francisco, and where he just mossed 2 Kansas City defenders on Monday Night Football. He's obviously a ridiculous athlete. He's got all the athleticism in the world. Throwing bubble screens to him and 2-yard down and outs. I mean, that's all nice and well. But let's unleash Travis Hunter a little bit. Now, with that, your offensive line has to protect. And they didn't really protect last week. So you got to have time to be able to go downfield. My one thing I will say, Hayes, though, is I hope they don't force anything. Don't just throw it to him for the sake of throwing it to him, which I don't think they will. But when you hear that he's going to start being one of our primary guys down the field, well, that's great. Obviously, other people hear that too. So if he's open, get him the ball, no question. But don't feel like you have to get him the ball. Let the game come to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And Pete Prisco is going to join us in our next segment in about 10 minutes. So we'll certainly ask Pete what his expectations are for the Jaguars passing game against the Rams at Wembley. There's some really good games in the NFL this weekend. And let's start in the AFC South, because you brought it up yesterday, for a division that no one thought would be any good. Well, here in Week 7, there's 3 really compelling matchups. Obviously, the Jags-Rams, those are 2 teams with 4-2 records, winning records. Indianapolis goes to the Chargers, and as you pointed out earlier, those are the top 2 seeds right now in the AFC. What kind of game do you think we'll see in LA, and do you think the Colts can get to 6-1?
Colts have injury problems. Josh Downs is not going to play. Travarius Ward is not going to play. One of the weirdest pregame warm-ups ever in NFL history last week for the Colts. Anthony Richardson fractured the orbital bone in his eye during pregame warm-ups, and Travarius Ward got absolutely obliterated by one of his own teammates and was concussed and is now missing his 2nd game during warm-ups last week. So that was just weird. But now all of a sudden the Colts are minus one of their best wide receiving options, a starting safety. They got to go to the West Coast. Again, you and I talked a lot about this yesterday. Indianapolis, to their credit, 5-1 is 5-1. It's hard to win in the NFL. But they have wins over the Cardinals, the Titans, the Dolphins, and the Raiders. We will start to figure out about Indianapolis beginning Sunday. If they go to L.A. and they beat the Chargers in L.A., well then, yeah, that'll be eye-opening. I don't expect that to happen. I think L.A. wins the game. I think Justin Herbert's playing at a very high level right now. and I expect LA to get to 5-2 on the year.
I think LA will win the game if they can protect Herbert, which has become a real albatross for them. They lost Rashawn Slater in camp, standout left tackle. Joe Alt has been out. He's missed at least the last 2 or 3 games. Now, they think there's a chance. I don't think their final report has come out yet.
He listed as doubtful.
So they're probably not going to have him. So you're down. I think they're also down their swing tackle. So their offensive line has just gotten decimated.
And they're down 2 running backs.
Right. And and I don't know about Quentin Johnston. He missed last week with a hamstring. He practiced in full yesterday, so they might have one of their, good receivers back. But that, to me, is the key of the game. If the Colts can get after Herbert, they can absolutely win the game. Jonathan Taylor can certainly keep Herbert off the field. He's done an excellent job running the ball for Indianapolis this year. I think it's kind of a coin flip game, but I think if the Chargers can just give Herbert a little bit of time, I think he'll do enough. He is playing at such a high level, and I do think the Daniel Jones pixie dust will eventually start to fade away.
I assume this has happened in the last 5 years since both teams moved out there, but it's interesting the Colts have to go to L.A. twice. They've already played in that stadium, and they lost to the Rams, and now you got to go back to that same stadium and play the Chargers. Just kind of an interesting quirk in the schedule.
It is, because both L.A. teams technically would have come to Jacksonville, except the Chargers come here next month, and the Rams Sunday game should have been here if they didn't, play a home game in London every year. So, it is interesting. So I would imagine maybe the Texans are also having to go to L.A. twice. Either them or the Titans.
Yeah, maybe,
But that is really interesting in terms of how it worked out. Houston at Seattle is another game Monday night. You don't need the Texans getting back in this thing, and they're starting to gain a little momentum. They're coming off a bye. Seattle obviously looked dominance too strong. They won by 8, but they certainly looked very physical. Darnold looks very much in control of what's being asked of him. Jackson Smith and Jigba is becoming one of the best receivers in the NFL. The Texans have an unbelievable defense. Will they have enough offensively to upset the Seahawks in Seattle, in your opinion?
I certainly hope not. I'm going to pick Seattle to win. Weird game, 10 o'clock East Coast kick, 9 o'clock Central. It's Houston time on Monday night. That Seattle crowd will be going nuts for Monday Night Football. We will find out about the Houston Texans over the next month, because even though 3 of these games are at home, their next 4 games are at Seattle, home San Francisco, home Denver, home Jacksonville. That's the next 4. That is a brutal slate. I mean, even go 2-2 in those 4, that puts you at 4-5, which I think Houston would probably sign on for right now, to go 2-2 in the next 4. Big game for them, but again, I think the next 4 weeks will tell the tale for the Texans, because they have a gauntlet over the next month.
Without a doubt. Tampa Bay goes to Detroit. Who do you like in that game and why?
I love the game. I mean, Monday Night Football, could you have gotten 2 better games than Tampa, Detroit, and Houston, Seattle? Fantastic. Boy, Baker Mayfield, is he the MVP of the league right now?
Would get my vote.
And they've been injured. I mean, they haven't had Bucky Irving. They haven't had Mike Evans.
He is carrying them.
Right. I mean, they are phenomenal. Again, we talk about Cleveland and how awful that organization is. What do you think they think when they see Baker Mayfield out there in the MVP discussion, a guy they drafted number 1 overall not that long ago? They do have to go to Detroit, and obviously Detroit is very good. We buried the Lions after they lost to Green Bay in the opener. We were a little premature in that. Now, no Brian Branch, because he's suspended after last week in Kansas City, which will hurt them. I would take the home team in this game, and because Detroit's at home, I will take Detroit. But what a fun game on Monday night.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think Tampa, it's going to be interesting how they try to defend Detroit, because you've got Gibbs, you've got Montgomery, so obviously that running back tandem is so electric for different ways. And then you got Amon-Ra St. Brown, just an unbelievable receiver. Laporta made one of the best catches you'll ever see the other night in
Jameson
that loss.
Williams was pretty good.
Jameson Williams. So it is going to be, I think, a high-scoring affair, very entertaining game. But I would probably lean towards Detroit. A couple more before we bring in Pete Prisco after the break. I want to get your thoughts on Eagles at Vikings. Carson Wentz starting for the Vikings. Can Philadelphia figure it out offensively in this game against Flores?
Maybe the most head-scratching game of the year was the Eagles last week against the Giants. That was unbelievable. I mean, if you did not watch NFL football and they just sat you down and say, watch this game, you would have thought the Giants were the defending world champions and that the Eagles were the laughing stock of the league. The Giants just beat them up, which was shocking to me. The Eagles' offensive line is clearly not what it once was. The Saquon Barkley thing, I don't know why this surprises people. They used him every play last year. It's kind of like Jamal Anderson in Atlanta. Remember that year Jamal Anderson had 400 carries going to the Super Bowl? He was never the same after that. Now, I don't know if it's going to be to that extent, but the Saquon Barkley coming back down to earth this year doesn't surprise me because of his usage last year. Philadelphia is on the verge of a 3-game losing streak. If they were to lose this game, I'm leaning Minnesota, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm going to take Philadelphia, but only because I think they've got to figure out the passing attack at some point. They're relying heavily on Dallas Goedert, and he's playing well. But, boy, you got to incorporate Brown and Smith into that. And they've really had trouble getting it going. And their offensive line is a mess. Their left guard the other night was about as bad a performance as I've seen. So, yeah, a lot of times when Saquon gets the ball, he doesn't have a chance.
Right.
I mean, he's being hit pretty much as soon as he gets the ball. But I do like the Eagles to rebound. But that'll be interesting going up against a very stout Vikings defense. I also think Carson Wentz will be loose with the football, and Vic Fangio getting embarrassed by a rookie quarterback and rookie running back in Scatabo. I got to think that the Eagles defensively will have something really special planned for the Vikings. Really quick, Falcons at 49ers. Atlanta's kind of been a sneaky good team. 49ers still probably going to have to go with Mac Jones, although that isn't official yet.
It just came out.
So
Purdy's out, Pearsall's out.
Wow, okay, so they get Kittle back, so that'll help Mac Jones. But who do you like in Atlanta going cross-country to play the 49ers?
I don't know if I've ever seen a team as banged up as San Francisco. They just lost Fred Warner for the year.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Look, you would think San Francisco at home on Sunday night would win. Atlanta coming off a really big Monday night victory against Buffalo. Well, they didn't do the Falcons any favors.
No.
Right? You play them on Monday night, and then I believe you got to travel to San Francisco.
The league
That's
really
brutal.
tries to avoid that. So it's I'm sure Atlanta logged a immediate complaint when they saw it.
I would have to think, and for that alone, I'll probably take the 49ers to win the game.
Yeah, good stuff. When we come back, we're going to keep it on the NFL. We will bring in Pete Prisco. He will tell us all about what he thinks about Jags, Rams, and all things NFL. You're listening to The Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harold and Harold studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
1010XL's Hayes Carline represents you in the locker room.
So you gotta up your game.
Interview persons of interest so you'll have the information you need to get ready for game day.
Time to put on your game face.
Opened by Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors.
This is your escape. This is your next adventure. This is Mazda, and this is Mazda at the Avenues. Lauren Brooks here. Right now, purchase any new Mazda model, and Mazda at the Avenues will match your down payment or your payments for 1 full year. Plus, every new Mazda comes with 3 years, 36,000 miles of maintenance at no additional charge to you. This is luxury, and this is the start of something new. This is Mazda at the Avenues. For complete details, call 904-430-8047.
Frank Frangie here. When you need plumbing, septic, or air conditioning service, trust matters. That's why more homeowners in Jacksonville choose Duck Duck Rooter, the area's most trusted service company. They're licensed, insured, and the only master septic contractor in Northeast Florida. From small plumbing repairs to major renovations and full air conditioning service, they do it all. And with Duck Duck, it's done right. Call 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter. If the Jags trust Duck Duck Rooter, so can you.
You already know it's your main man E to the T here for Twin Peaks, home of the 29-degree draft. And with ball season here, make sure you're on the lookout for my instant reaction before, during, or after the game. All brought to you by Twin Peaks, home of the 29-degree drafts. Come on, somebody.
Hi, I'm John Haney from Clearwater Gutters and Drainage. After heavy rains, the problems are obvious. Mulch blown out of your beds, water standing around your foundation, and that fancy new crater back behind your bushes. Let Clearwater Seamless Gutters help you solve the problem spots.
Clearwater Seamless Gutters. We can't sing a lick, but we sure are good at gutters.
And drainage too.
Find out more at clearwaterjacks.com.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
Ticket here for Action Garage Door. Nothing more frustrating than your garage door misfiring. When it does, I call Action Garage Door. They take action. Jeff and Art and crew, Jacksonville folks, not some big out-of-town chain. Something goes wrong with your garage door, take action. Check them out. Garage Door 911, GarageDoor911.com.
Hume Flowers announces their home holiday decorating team is now taking orders for the holiday season. This is JJ with 1010XL. No more hassling with tree buying, untangling, and hanging burned out lights. Call on Hume Flowers, they'll do it all.
This football season, make Hurricane Grill and Wings your game day getaway. Sip on handcrafted cocktails like the Millionaire Margarita or enjoy an ice-cold Bud Light. Game day drink specials are here all season. Find a location near you at hurricanewings.com.
Overheard at the Hard Rock Bet Party.
It's Thursday. New Hard Rock Bet rewards are dropping.
Nice. Ed Reed, you in?
The only thing I drop is receivers and mics.
Ed, we're talking bonus bets, deposit matches, parlay insurance.
Oh, okay. I'll do that kind of drop.
Hard Rock Bet Sportsbook. Roll with us. New players bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Payable in bonus bets, not a cash offer. Offered by the Seminole Tribe of Florida. Must be 21 and up and physically present in Florida to wager. Terms and conditions apply. Concerned about gambling? Please call 1-888-ADMIT-IT.
Don't miss the Record Company live at the all-newly remodeled Ponte Vedra Concert Hall, Friday, November 7th. Get tickets now at AXS.com and the venue box office. The Record Company live, November 7th at Ponte Vedra Concert Hall.
Hey folks, this is Denny Thompson, and when it comes to protecting my home, I turn to Tyson, the leaders in state-of-the-art home security right here in Jacksonville. Their AI cameras and smart doorbells are top-notch, keeping an eye on what matters most. Whether you're moving in or upgrading, Tyson offers flexible packages, rent or own, with specials on the first 3 years. Ramp up now for the holidays, the perfect gift for you or someone you love. Call Tyson today at 590-7979 for details.
1010XL, presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
Time for all things Jaguars and NFL with Pete Prisco. The Prisco Report, presented by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Showtime.
On The Frangie Show.
Showtime does such a great job. They're having an in-store card show tomorrow from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., so be sure to get over there. 15% off signed memorabilia during the show hours. Again, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., framed photos, jerseys, helmets. You got to get to Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles. They do a fantastic job. Me and my son love going in there, and you will have a ball. Pete, it's good to talk with you. How you doing?
Good. What's going on, guys? How are you?
We're excited. Jags, Rams, 4-2 versus 4-2. What do you think is the big element to this game?
Well, the offensive line better be better than it was a week ago. It was awful. And I know Monheim's not in the lineup this week. He might have been the best offensive lineman last week. They were bad. I mean, the left side was really bad, and Walker Little was terrible. I thought Cleveland had his worst game. The right side wasn't much better. McCary had some problems. And, Monheim maybe blew a couple calls because obviously there was some more pressure than we thought they would be giving up. But he was at least physical and was good in the run game. I think there's a major issue there. They got to show up this week against a good Rams front, or else they're going to have problems again.
Yeah, the offensive line, Pete, clearly the worst game they've played all year, no doubt about that. And as you can imagine, here in Jacksonville, a lot of football fans have football PTSD from 15 years of just awfulness for the most part. And the big question to me is, last week against Seattle, was that a reality check for the Jaguars, or was that a bad day at the office? Maybe we'll find out this Sunday at Wembley Stadium.
Well, when you looked at it, though, they did a decent job in the run game on defense. They gave up a couple big plays, and you can't give those up, and that was a problem. There was no pass rush either. Now, Trayvon Walker with the club on his hand, that's tough ask of a guy, but he's got to get used to that if he's going to play, and he's got to be more productive than what he was. So, I think, Hacker, you go back to last week, it was just so bad on both lines in terms of no pressure and allowing pressure and not being able to protect your quarterback. And you can't win games consistently in the league that way. And now, you look at it, it's time for them to get after the quarterback a little bit more than what they have.
The Rams won't have Puka Nacua. Who do you think the Jaguars should have on their radar outside of Devontae Adams?
Well, they're not a very fast team. That's my biggest criticism of the Rams is they're not fast. Even when Nacua is in the lineup, it's not a fast team. Adams is a great route runner, not fast. Nacua, crafty, smart, knows how to get open, knows how to sit down in zones, but he's not fast. And so Atwell is a guy they think, and Sean McVay said even last year at the owners' meetings that they got to get him more involved in the offense and get some big plays because he's the one guy that can run. So I keep an eye on him in this offense because I do think he can provide the speed element. But again, with no Nacua on the lineup, it really changes the way they play, and it puts a lot of pressure on them to kind of spread that ball around a little bit more. The guy's been targeted so many times and been such a big part of what they do. And as far as Adams, it just doesn't look like they're in rhythm yet the way they will be at some point. But missing Nacua is a big hit for them.
Pete Prisco, CBS Sports, with us here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM in Jacksonville. Pete, Travis Hunter last week, 4 catches for 15 yards. One of those catches went for 11, so the other 3 combined for 3 yards. That obviously has to change. You got to get the ball to him down the field, something they have not been willing to do. Do you expect that to change this week?
Well, they have to. I mean, if you use the assets you use to go get him, and the whole idea was he's going to play on both sides of the ball, and he's been really good at corner, by the way. I don't think he's getting enough credit for how good he's been at corner. But you got to get involved in the offense, and not just bubble screens and quick throws. Get him down the field. You saw it a couple times on, some over routes. One underthrow a couple weeks ago that was picked off. But I think they got to get him involved in the passing game. And I think when you start talking about it the way they talked about it this week, I think you're going to see that happen. And enough with the little quick throws on the sideline. Get him down the field in the middle of the field. Let him use that speed and create matchup problems for a team because this Rams defense, not great on the outside with the corners. So I think they're beatable there.
Pete, let's get your thoughts on some of these other games. It's a big week in terms of great matchups in the NFL. Let's start with the Colts going to the Chargers. How do you see this game playing out?
Well, it's a prove-it game for the Colts. There's no question about that. And you look at their schedule. Beat the Dolphins, beat the Titans, beat the Raiders, and beat an Arizona team that didn't have their quarterback. I mean, so they beat the Broncos and lost to the Rams, but they probably should have won that game against the Broncos and maybe should have won the game against the Rams. But the reality is they haven't played a tough schedule. This is a prove-it game for me, at least from my standpoint, to see if they can continue to be who they are so far. And it's a tough ask, and I think the Chargers will find a way to win that game because I think Justin Herbert will have another big day throwing the football around.
The Colts' schedule, particularly the road schedule, is brutal. It starts this week with the Chargers. They still have to go to Arrowhead. They got to go to Seattle. They got to go to Pittsburgh. They got to come here, and they got to go to Houston. It is wild how easy they've had it, how rough they're going to have it moving forward. Pete, another one's the Houston Texans. They go out to Seattle, kind of a weird game, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, 9 o'clock Central, Houston time on Monday night. And you look at the Texans' next 4, the only road game is Seattle, but then they come home for San Francisco, Denver, and Jacksonville. So we'll find out a lot about the Texans over the next month as well.
Yeah, and their schedule is really tough. I mean, if you look at it and play it all out the rest of the way, it's a brutal schedule. With that offensive line, I don't know how they're going to come out from underneath what they've done. And you guys saw that Seattle defensive line last week. That, to me, looks like a mismatch. I will be astounded if they don't put them on the ground at least 5-6 times in that game. And when you can't get into any rhythm offensively, I think that's going to be a problem for them. So I think Seattle's the real deal, by the way. That defense, they didn't have their secondary players last week. And when those guys get back, that defense is going to be tough to move the football on, and they can rush the passer, and they can throw it down the field. In a league where nobody's doing it, they are. And I think that's a team to watch. But I think they beat the Texans on Sunday.
Incredible.
Or Monday.
Yeah, incredible game last night. What did you make of Cincinnati upsetting Pittsburgh?
Well, Pittsburgh's defense was awful. And when you have old guys playing in that defense, particularly in the secondary, on a short week against those receivers, that's going to show up. They were terrible on defense. And you know what? They came into the game, the Bengals came into the game with the longest run from scrimmage being 13 yards. and they ran on them. It was just a bad showing by the Steelers defense, and that to me is concerning. And their schedules gets a little tougher here coming up. And you look at the Bengals, their schedule's easier in the next couple of weeks. If you look at the Bengals schedule, it wouldn't shock me to see them win the next 2 weeks, next 2 games, and get to 5-4 on the season and be in the mix. And all of a sudden, Joe Burrow might be coming back. They got the Jets on the 28th, and then they got the Bears at home on the 2nd. Now, the Bears isn't an easy game before they go back to Pittsburgh on the 16th. So, look, the bottom line is that division, which looked like Pittsburgh might put a hammerlock on it last night, far from over.
Couple more for Pete Prisco, CBSSports.com. Pete, we saw the first firing in the NFL this week. Brian Callahan, 4-19 in Tennessee. He's shown the door. Will that be the only firing of the season, or will we see more, particularly maybe in Miami with Mike McDaniel?
I think you're going to see more. I think Miami's coming. I think that one's going to come. Look, I'm not a big believer in firing guys during the season. I really don't think it does much. But you saw that mess last week when Jeffrey Simmons came out and said the practices weren't good. I mean, he was basically indicting the coach. They almost had no choice to make that decision. But when you look at Miami, I don't think he wants to fire him, but he's getting fired whether it's during the season or after the season. There's no question about that. That place is a mess. You have Tua calling out his teammates publicly, which he should have never done. Kind of indicted the entire team without naming anybody. When you do that, you throw a whole blanket over the roster. That's bad. And so there was no discipline in on that roster for the last couple of years. And they thought they got rid of Ramsey, and now Tyreek is hurt. Maybe it will be better. Well, it's not. So I think Miami will have a coaching change. Whether it comes during the season, I'm not sure. And by the way, the GM will be blown out finally as well.
Wow. What do you think about Tampa Bay going to Detroit?
I wish they both were healthy. It's just the Lions are banged up in the secondary, and the Bucks are banged up everywhere on the offense. I mean, I just wish they were healthy. And what Baker Mayfield has done is incredible. Last week, he was throwing the receiver 5, 6, and 7. They said on the broadcast, 4, 5, and 6. No, it was 5, 6, and 7. He didn't have Ibuka, he didn't have Evans, he didn't have McMillan, and he didn't have Godwin. And he's throwing to a bunch of guys and really making plays. And then the offensive line, they haven't started their offensive line not one time this entire season, and they won't because the right guard's out for the year. So I think what Baker Mayfield has done is incredible. I think that one will get loose and high scoring. I think in the end, though, the Lions at home might find a way to win that one late.
Pete, final one from me. We've seen a lot of trades already in the NFL. The trade deadline is approaching, I believe, on November the 4th. The Jaguars have made some news recently, renegotiating some contracts or doing things to clear up some room. I think $12 million in room for 2025. What are you hearing league-wide about how active it'll be, and what are your thoughts on Jacksonville maybe pulling off another trade or two in the next couple of weeks?
Well, I think Jacksonville should look at calling the Cardinals on Calais Campbell, which they made a run at him last year. They should call the Dolphins on Zach Sealer. If the Ravens lose before the trade deadline, they should call on Mark Andrews as a potential tight end because Strange is out of there. I think those are some of the guys you should definitely do your due diligence on to try and find some help. I still think they need defensive tackle help. There aren't a lot of guys around the league that that are going to be available because some teams still think they're in it when they really aren't. So I think that might change the way they look. But that's what I would do if I were Jacksonville. Calais Campbell, look, if the Cardinals are done, and we don't know if they are, we don't know how they see it, he'd be perfect to come back to Jacksonville for the first stretch run. I think it would make a lot of sense. Same for Zach Sealer. His contract isn't that bad. He would make a lot of sense if Miami's going to host a garage sale. So I think those are two guys I would keep an eye on if I were the Jaguars. And then as far as wide receiver, they might nose around some of that some more because I still think they're not fully on board with having Travis Hunter play as much as he has so far.
Yeah, Pete, we'll get you out on this one. How do you think it goes in Wembley for the Jaguars?
I think they win the game. I think that offense is different without Puka Nacua. And by the way, the Ravens' defense going into last week was horrendous. I mean, just awful. And were it not for a goal line stand, they might have beat the Rams, who didn't do a lot on offense. I think the one thing that bothers Jacksonville is teams that can get down the field, and you saw that with Smith and Jigba last week. I don't think the Rams do. And for that reason, I think Jacksonville will find a way to win the game.
How about that? What kind of you think? Low scoring, high scoring? How do you see it?
Yeah, I forget what I picked it, but I just think when you look at it, I think Jacksonville's got to, at some point, and this is just me, at some point they got to crank that offense up. And I get it, the offensive line matters and all that, but I think at some point they got to crank the offense up. 24-20, 24-21, something like that.
All right, great stuff, Pete. We certainly appreciate it. We'll look forward to talking with you next Friday.
You got it. Take care, guys.
All right, appreciate it. Pete Prisco does an outstanding job for CBS Sports. We always enjoy it. And, again, appreciate Showtime Sports Cars and Collectibles for sponsoring Pete's time with us. When we come back on the Frangie Show, we're going to stay on the NFL. There's an interesting special teams wrinkle with Jaguars-Rams I want to get to. You're listening to 1010XL 92.5 FM.
The Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
1010XL is your home for play-by-play on Bishop Kenny football.
After 2 road wins, the Crusaders defend their home turf against the Buccaneers. Bishop Kenny First Coast, Friday at 7 on 1010XL.
Make Honda of the Avenues your first stop for award-winning customer service and world-class Honda vehicles. Our inventory is larger than ever, which means we have the perfect Honda waiting for you. Plus, at Honda of the Avenues, we always put our customers first, making the car buying experience fun, fast, and easy. You'll always find great deals on our huge selection of new and certified pre-owned Hondas, all prepped and ready for a test drive. Come see just how different car buying can be at Honda of the Avenues today. Stop by or shop from home at HondaoftheAvenues.com. Proud sponsor of Sporting Jags.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
Hey folks, it's Frank Frangie for Lee and Kate's Glass. They say you're going to see a big difference, but what does that really mean? It means a live local person on the phone, a smooth, easy process, skilled craftsmen, and excellent customer service all around, with your satisfaction absolutely guaranteed. Visit LeeandKatesGlass.com.
With Lee and Kate's Glass, you're gonna see a big difference.
What's happening, folks? It's your main man, E.T., of course. And whether you're biking through shaded forest trails, casting a line from Camp Napier, or enjoying music by the St. Johns River, Clay County is full of ways to play. This month, experience off-road trails at the 2025 Crawling for the Fallen. Savor bold flavors and classic rides at Moose Haven's 15th annual Chili Cook-Off and Car Show, and celebrate the fall season at fall festivals all across the county. Find a full lineup at ExploreClay.com. Come on, somebody.
Have you ever dreamed of owning a handcrafted cabin tucked into a 1,000-acre regenerative farm? Well, now you can. This is Frank Frangie for the farm in Okefenokee, just an hour north of Jacksonville in Folkston. With only 250 cabins at full build-out, it's a rare chance to live off-grid, but not alone, in a community grounded in nature, food, and purpose. The amenities include a 2,300-acre hunting lease. Learn more at okefarm.com. That's okefarm.com.
If you're ready to transform your yard with a fence that stands out, elevate your curb appeal with Superior Fence and Rail. Superior takes pride in offering first-class service, friendly installers, and unmatched fence products. Mention this ad and get $250 off your next project. It's time to get off the fence and call today.
When you're on the fence, about a fence, SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentist and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental, with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, located in Bartram Park.
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
I'm Frank Frangie for Ricketts Electric. Any good lineup needs power. When we needed power at the Bragan Baseball Complex and all the fields we have at Fort Family Park, we trusted Ricketts Electric. You're going to love these guys. The Ricketts family has been providing commercial and residential electric service for years. Call my friend Zach today at 904-320-5960. You can also find them on Facebook and at rickettselectric.com. Ricketts Electric, the city's best power connection. Call them today at 904-320-5960.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
It's been a fun Frangie show today. We've talked about the Rams not having Puka Nacua for the game against the Jaguars and what that means for the Jaguars defense. We talked about Joe Flacco beating the Pittsburgh Steelers 33-31 last night. Aaron Rodgers played well, too, for the Steelers, but Joe Flacco, how about when he pulled the ball? You mentioned that in a break. What a great play. Here's 40-year-old geriatric Joe Flacco running the read option and burning Pittsburgh for a 13-yard gain deep in his own territory.
I mean, he's got to be having the time of his life.
Oh.
You know, at 40 years old, to be in Cleveland, to be in that slop of a franchise, and to now get a reprieve to go to Cincinnati and to be the starting quarterback throwing to Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. Absolutely incredible.
It was unreal. Hacker gave us his picks for the college football weekend. We certainly enjoyed that. And Pete Prisco joined us in our last segment. Pete likes the Jaguars over the Rams, so hopefully that will happen. That would be a gigantic win for the Jaguars. But, Hacker, you have breaking news in the realm of college football.
Yeah, I mean, this could be big. It could be a note.
That's a good point. It's probably not breaking news,
right,
but an interesting nugget.
It's an interesting nugget. So On3 Sports, the Ole Miss website for On3 Sports, talked with Ole Miss athletic director Keith Carter. He said, or he told them, that he's working on a new contract for Lane Kiffin. Quote, "I'd love to get something done like Indiana did with Curt Cignetti before the silly season starts. We'll see." So obviously, again, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out they were probably going to talk about a contract extension with Lane, knowing Florida's probably going to come open. But you said you would, quote, be inconsolable for 2 weeks.
Yes.
You might want to start making preparations for that.
Yeah, maybe. But see, it's interesting because I hear the quote, and then I'm like, we'll see. To me, that's an AD telling his fan base, look, I hear you. We're going to do everything in our power to keep him, but it is not in our control to keep him. Lane Kiffin has to want to stay here. Did you watch the Kiffin documentary that came out a couple weeks ago?
I haven't seen all of it.
It's really good. But it talks about, I mean, he was going to go to Auburn like 2-3 years ago. And his daughter, kind of convinced him to stay. She'd moved to Oxford. And so, but he was leaving for Auburn. So it's not like he hasn't thought about this before. And we know the Florida job means way more to him than the Auburn job. So I still think I think it's more on will Florida offer it to him more than it is would Kiffin accept it. But so my reading of that is the Ole Miss AD who has done a very nice job with their athletics program. This to me is him kind of getting in front of it and saying and reassuring his fans, look, we're doing everything we can. If he will sign the Cignetti deal, then we'll be fine. But that is not up to us. All we can do is have it on his desk, have it in front of his agent, and hope that it's what Lane Kiffin wants to do. I don't think Lane Kiffin is staying at Ole Miss.
Well, look, I mean, if Lane Kiffin, and I would tend to agree with you. I'm not as positive about that as you are. I think ultimately he will go if there's a much better offer. You said if Florida offers him the job. For the Florida fan base, the season ticket holder, the booster, the Bull Gators, you better have Lane Kiffin say no, thank you. Because if Florida doesn't even offer him the job, there are going to be some fuming people in the Gator Nation about that.
And I'll be at the front of the line. I mean, I will bash them every time they turn on this microphone if they do not go after Lane Kiffin. Now, to your point, if you go after him and he says, no, I'm going to stay here, then I would still be disappointed, and I would still believe that Florida didn't make their best effort to really get him. But that's one thing. If they don't even interview Lane Kiffin for this job, if he isn't even on their radar, that's just malpractice.
Because let's think about
I mean,
this.
that is just malpractice. I mean, at that point, they're trying to renovate the swamp. Why don't you just burn the swamp to the ground and discontinue the program? If a guy that's doing what he's doing at Ole Miss, if you don't have an interest in him, then what are we doing as a football program?
Well, let's think about it, too. Signetti's off the board. I highly doubt you're getting Marcus Freeman out of South Bend.
I highly doubt you're getting Marcus Freeman.
I just can't imagine a world where he says, yeah, I'm good. I'm leaving Notre Dame to go to Florida.
Right.
So if that's not the case, and if you don't get Lane, well, then now all of a sudden you are in the Eli Drinkowitz realm of existence. You are in the Rhett Lashley realm of existence. You are in the Cliff Kingsbury realm of existence. So it's almost from Florida's standpoint, like it might be Lane or nothing from where we are right now. If Brent Key is back-channeled and said, thanks but no thanks, unless you think you can pull a Lincoln Riley or something out of your hat, I would think Lane Kiffin's all or nothing for the Gators.
That's how I view it. I mean, I'm not saying that I will not accept who it is if it isn't Kiffin, but we talked about it yesterday when we ranked the top 4 before Signetti signed his extension. And for me, it was Lane Kiffin, sizable gap, Marcus Freeman, Drinkwitz, Signetti. And so, yeah, if Florida does not even attempt to hire Lane Kiffin, to me, it's a total indictment on how they're running their operation. I mean, he could not fit them better for what they need at this time. But we'll see. We've got one more segment to go on the Frangie Show. We're going to cover a lot of ground, kind of go up-tempo in our final segment. We're going to talk some Major League Baseball, get JJ's thoughts on what's going on in both the NLCS and ALCS. One interesting, one maybe not so much. You kind of touched on the Magic yesterday just briefly, but I want you to kind of have some time to sort of go into actually what you think will be kind of a fair expectation for the Orlando Magic as they get about a week and a half away from starting the season.
Next week. I think it's next Wednesday.
Yeah. So a lot of good stuff, and obviously big night of high school football, and Hacker will be all over that. We'll also give you a final thought about the Jaguars and Rams game. That is all coming up. You're listening to the Frangie Show on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It's the ride home with the Frangie Show from the Harrell and Harrell studio. Don't settle for less than you deserve.
This is Brent Musburger's Visa in Action update on 1010XL. Brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. When you're stuck, call the Duck. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The NASCAR Cup Series running at the Talladega Super Speedway Sunday. It's the Yellowwood 500, and it is the second race of round 3 of the playoffs. 7 drivers remaining in the postseason, vying for 3 open spots in the Final 4 at Phoenix. Joey Logano is the betting favorite to take the checkered flag at plus 1,000. Ryan Blaney plus 1,100 to win at Talladega. William Byron plus 1,200. Austin Cindric, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson, all at plus 1,400. Brad Keselowski plus 1,600 and Bubba Wallace plus 1,800. They'll go 188 laps around the Super Speedway.
Cash back for every bet with a G-Bank Signature Visa card. VSIN.com/GBank.
I'm Tony Desiri with your Visa in Action update on 1010XL.
Business owners, are you tired of getting the runaround from your plumbing or AC vendors? Fire them now and call Duck Duck Rooter. Duck Duck Rooter is the trusted partner for some of the largest commercial companies in Northeast Florida. From a professional accounting office that makes contracts and invoicing seamless to highly skilled field technicians who fix the problems fast, they handle it all. Make the smart move today with Duck Duck Rooter. Call 904-862-6769. 904-862-6769. Duck Duck Rooter, a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Hey, sports fans, it's Hayes Carline here to let you know about my new obsession, Daisy French Onion Dip. If you love eating dips with chips, wings, and veggies while watching football, you'll love new Daisy French Onion Dip and Daisy Ranch Dip. These are game changers. They're as delicious as a homemade dip made with real herbs and spices and other ingredients you'd find in your own kitchen. You've got to try them. Once you do, you'll be hooked. Look for Daisy French Onion Dip at a grocery store near you.
Big Chief Tire makes auto care more affordable with 6-month financing through the CFNA credit card. Frank Frangie here. Plus, get $50 off your first purchase when you sign up. Whether you need new tires, brake service, or general repairs, their expert technicians have you covered. With no interest for 6 months, now's the perfect time to take care of your vehicle. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to apply today. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Hey folks, Mike Dempsey here for Dandy Foods, a Jacksonville family business for nearly 70 years. Heck, I've been talking about them for over a decade. The Thompson family secret, Dandy is never frozen. Always fresh baked bread with quality meats and cheeses. No dry, crumbly subs here, only soft and tasty deliciousness. When I see that logo with the little guy with the cane on the label, it tells me I'm getting a trusted brand and a quality sandwich. So do what I do, stop in at a Circle K and make yours a Dandy today.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
You've got a circle of friends, right? Well, how about a circle of beer? All your favorites like Bud Light, Bud Heavy, Mick Ultra, or Natty Light. It's all there in the cold case at Circle K. Probably one right around the corner right now calling your name. Slide on in to a Circle K.
You deserve something truly exceptional, and that's what you get from Dunbarton Tobacco and Trust's 10th Anniversary Jubilee. Come to Tobacco Cove on Saturday, October 18th from 1 to 4 p.m. because you will not want to miss this. From the mind of Steve Saka, Dunbarton offers the taste of perfection. This event features amazing cigars, delightful food, and awesome prizes. Tobacco Cove, 3849 Bay Meadows Road. More than a cigar store, it's an experience.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Poker players, the World Poker Tour is back at Best Bet Jacksonville, October 30th to November 18th, and the guarantees are massive. Event 1 brings a $200,000 guarantee. Event 6 has a $300,000 guarantee, and the main event has an enormous $1 million guarantee. With 14 tournaments, your chances of winning big have never been better. Want in on the action? WPT satellites are already playing out. Don't get left out. Head to bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah.
It's a Big Chief Tire Friday on the Frangie Show. For all of your tires and automotive service needs, it's Big Chief Tire.
All right, one more segment on the Frangie Show before we turn it over to RJ Saunders for the college kickoff show. That'll be a lot of fun. So, Hacker, this is an interesting element of Jaguars-Rams to me that is obviously a very deep layer of the game, but something that could swing the game. So, both field goal kickers are slumping, but Cam Little I'm not overly worried about. It's just been sort of, I think, a mini slump that he'll figure out. The Rams' Joshua Carty has been awful kicking field goals and extra points. But one thing that he has been masterful at is he has got this knuckleball kickoff that no one can figure out. And I heard James Gladstone talking about it on Jags HQ yesterday after we were off the air. And he's right, because if you've seen this, if you've watched the Rams play, like the guy does a great job of putting the ball in the landing zone, but putting it away from the returner, and there's like no spin on it. It's like a Wakefield knuckleball, and you have no idea where it's going to bounce. And obviously, it's a live ball. So the last thing the Jaguars need is to have a returner not be able to cleanly field the ball, and the Rams recover it, and obviously you're deep in Jaguar territory when that happens. So just something to be mindful of, when the Rams are kicking off, that is going to be a very dangerous play for the Jaguars and something they're going to have to be on high alert for.
No, I agree. And a lot of these London games, particularly Jacksonville, you always think about field position, right? It's just that when you're watching the game, it's going to be kind of gray and gloomy, and we'll see how the weather plays itself out. And more times than not, these become field possession type games. And with a kicker like that with the Rams that has mastered that, and I agree with you, it's kind of like the knuckleball, a dirty kick, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of verbiage for it. You got to be on your P's and Q's for that, because you would hate to have a couple of mishaps where you're starting with the ball inside the 15-yard line.
Right, or just handing them a free possession.
Right.
So it's definitely something to be mindful of. JJ, give us a little bit of what's going on in the world of baseball.
We got a big game in like 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
6:08. So we said earlier that like no teams come back from losing the first 2 home games. Well, actually, the Blue Jays just won 2 away games to tie it. That's the game at 6:08. I think I changed my tune completely. I think they're going to win this series.
Oh,
and
wow.
I think it's going to be Blue Jays versus Dodgers. Dodgers pretty much it's wrapped up.
Yeah, Dodgers up 3-0.
But their offense has just exploded like it did in the Yankees series, and they're back. And I'm kind of happy they are, because I think that the Dodgers versus Blue Jays will be a better series than Seattle versus the Dodgers.
Interesting. Hacker, thank you so much for joining us these last 2 days. Give us a little season preview of the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, next week it gets underway, the NBA tip-off. And again, a new look for the NBA. You got that great show with Ernie Johnson, Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, and Shaq, which will now be on ESPN because it's no longer on TNT. There's going to be a streaming element to NBA games now. NBC is back in the mix. So it's going to be a much different look because of the new television agreement. Having said all that, the Magic yeah, exactly. The music's back. I love that. I've missed this music for a long time. The Magic in the Eastern Conference, no Jason Tatum in Boston, no Tyrese Halliburton in Indiana. They're both going to miss the year with Achilles injuries. And Orlando added a Desmond Bane, which is exactly what they needed. If they stay healthy, which they did not last year, but with Banchero and Franz Wagner, and we'll see about Jalen Suggs' availability, I think Orlando at worst should be 4th or 5th in the East. Potentially could be 2nd or 3rd in the East. It'll be a lot of fun, and I know we've aired and we'll continue to air a lot of Magic basketball here on 1010XL.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Final thought on Jags-Rams. How does the game go, and who do you like?
I picked the Rams yesterday. I will stick with that, with the caveat being I get a little pause because Puka Nacua is not going to play, but I will stick with the Rams. I hope I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, we'll have a great time out at Front Runners Tap House for the 5th quarter on Sunday. Leon Searcy and myself will be on 2 hours after the Jaguars and the Rams go final. But I like the Rams by a field goal, and I think Jacksonville goes into the bye at 4-3 overall.
Okay, and you're joining me Monday for Duval Rundown at 9:04. That'll be a lot of fun, so I appreciate that
Absolutely.
in advance. And tell us about all the stuff you have going on tonight.
Well, I'll actually be on with R.J. Saunders on the college kickoff coming up here in about 30 minutes or so. And then I'm heading over to the Channel 4 studios right now. We'll be streaming on both the Channel 4 social media platform and the 1010XL social media platform. Friday Night Lights, reacting to all the high school games as they're going on. That's from 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And then, Hayes, I'm going to come back to this very studio for Friday Night Lights, the radio version, where we'll have all the Victoria's head coaches on beginning at about 9:30 tonight. It's a labor of love, and I'm happy to have the opportunity.
All right, great stuff. Thank you so much. It's always a lot of fun having you, and we certainly appreciate it. Look forward to the next one.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, that's going to do it for the vacation, not vacationing. He's on assignment, I suppose. The on assignment, Frangie. For Hacker, for JJ LaSelva, thank you to Pete Prisco for joining us. I'm Hayes Carline. That's going to do it for us, but stay tuned. The College Kickoff Show with R.J. Saunders is up next. You're listening to 1010XL, 92.5 FM.